Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, written in 1886, is a book where he challenges old ideas about philosophy, morality, and, oh my God, our beloved society. Nietzsche argues that we need to rethink the way we see truth, morality, and even ourselves. In this book, he criticizes past philosophers, introduces the idea of the free spirit, and talks about how we should change our understanding of right and wrong, religion and culture. This video explains some of the main ideas in Nietzsche's book, and we will use quotes to help understand his thoughts too. In Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche starts by criticizing the philosophers from the past. He argues that they didn't really search for the truth. Instead, they used philosophy to justify their own beliefs and personal biases. Nietzsche says philosophers have interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. This quote shows that Nietzsche believes philosophers should not just explain the world, but also try to change it. In his view, old philosophers were more focused on justifying what they have already believed, instead of questioning everything. Nietzsche also says that philosophy is not just about finding truth, but it's shaped by the personal feelings and beliefs of the philosopher. In section 6, he writes, "Every philosophy also conceals a philosophy. Every opinion is also a hiding place. Every word also a mask." This means that when philosophers write, they are not just talking about facts. They are also hiding their own personal beliefs and desires behind their ideas. Nietzsche gives an example by criticizing Descartes' famous statement, "I think, therefore I am," saying that Descartes assumes there is a self or an I that can think. Nietzsche challenges this, saying that the I is just a product of history, not a real thing. Nietzsche introduces a new kind of philosopher, the free spirit. A free spirit is someone who isn't tied down by old moral rules and is willing to create new values. Nietzsche says the free spirit is a thinker who has freed himself from the oppressive chains of old moralities and philosophical systems. A free spirit is not afraid to question everything, even the very idea of truth itself. Nietzsche describes these thinkers as the most spiritual men must be the most dangerous men. This quote shows that true philosophers are willing to challenge everything, even the most sacred beliefs, because they want to create something new. For Nietzsche, free spirits are independent thinkers who refuse to follow the old rules. He warns against philosophers who suffer for truth and encourages people to listen to those who, like cynics, challenge ideas without pretending to have all the answers. The cynic doesn't see truth as something to worship, but as something to understand deeply and question. One of the most important ideas in Beyond Good and Evil is the will to power. Nietzsche rejects traditional moral systems that value things like self-sacrifice and humility, especially Christianity. He says the noble soul has reverence for itself, meaning that people should respect themselves and their own strength rather than denying themselves. Nietzsche believes that traditional ideas of morality are based on slave morality, which is created by the weak to bring down the strong. This type of morality values things like humility and self-denial, which Nietzsche sees as harmful. Instead, Nietzsche introduces the idea of the will to power as a new way of thinking about life. He explains the will to power is not a being, it is a becoming. This means that the will to power is not a fixed idea or goal. It's a process of growth and self-expression. It's about becoming who you are meant to be and constantly striving to grow and create your own path in life. Nietzsche rejects old ideas of good and evil, saying that life is not about following rules, but about creating something new and powerful. In another section, Nietzsche argues the will to truth is a will to the denial of life. He criticizes the idea that truth is more important than life itself, saying that this way of thinking limits human potential. For Nietzsche, life is about embracing change, growth, and the will to power. His critique of Christianity is one of the most famous parts of Beyond Good and Evil. He believes that Christianity's focus on suffering, self-sacrifice, and weakness has damaged humanity. Nietzsche writes, Christianity is the most fatal kind of self-presumption ever. This quote shows how Nietzsche feels that Christianity's values have turned people into weak individuals who deny their own strengths and desires. And just as a reminder, it's not me saying any of this, it's Nietzsche. Alright, please remember that. Nietzsche sees traditional Christian morality as harmful because it makes people suppress their natural instincts and desires. Instead of embracing life and its challenges, Christianity encourages people to focus on suffering and self-denial. Nietzsche argues that morality is herd animal morality. This means that the moral systems we follow today are shaped by the weak, who are jealous of the strong and want to bring them down. He believes that the values of humility and meekness are a way to control others, and that these values come from people who feel resentful of those who are stronger or more powerful. Nietzsche doesn't believe that we should get rid of religion completely, but he says we need to rethink our spirituality. He predicts the next great event in the history of man will be the overcoming of the God. He doesn't mean that we should stop believing in a God, but rather that we need to get rid of the old limiting ideas about God that make us deny life and power. Finally, Nietzsche looks ahead to the future of philosophy and culture. He predicts that the next century will see a struggle for mastery over the whole earth. This means that new intellectual and cultural forces will challenge the old ways of thinking, and Nietzsche believes that this will create an opportunity for a new kind of philosopher, one who is willing to embrace life and change. Nietzsche wants to create a world of free spirits, people who are not afraid to create their own values and think for themselves. This new kind of philosophy will reject the old moral rules and focus on growth, creativity, and individual power. Nietzsche believes this will be the key to the future, where people will no longer be bound by the past, but will create a new, more vital way of living. In Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche challenges everything we have been taught about philosophy, morality, and religion. He questions the idea of truth, the importance of self-sacrifice, and the meaning of life itself. He talks about the will to power as a way to embrace life and create something new. Nietzsche's ideas are, of course, radical, but they ask us to think in new ways and challenge old, restrictive and limiting beliefs. By doing this, he opens up a new path for philosophy and culture, one that values growth, power, and individuality. His message is quite clear. What he's asking us is that we must rethink everything, that we must reject the old moralities, and that we must create our own path. This is the future as he imagines, a world of free spirits who shape their own destinies. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe and also share it with your philosophical friends. Catch you on the other side. Thank you.